Now, my name is Tor. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be discussing the relationship between mental state and physical health using both Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune and a study from the American Psychological Association called Stress Weakens Immune System. Now, Neville Goddard was somebody who used to give a lot of lectures about philosophy, about how the mind works, about how you can create things in your life, how you can live your life to the maximum potential that you know of. And he wrote a book called Your Faith is Your Fortune. In that book, he had a particular quote referring to somebody's mind state that they have to be in to maintain strong physical health. What Neville said was, the man who is conscious of being healthy, not because of inherited health, diets, or climate, but because he is awakened and knows the state of consciousness in which he lives, will, in spite of the conditions of the world, continue to express health. He could hear through the press, radio, and wise men of the world that a plague was sweeping the earth, and yet he would remain unmoved and unimpressed. And he always used to talk about states of mind, states of consciousness, mental states, referring to somebody's frame of mind and how they carry themselves and how they believe the world to work, how they believe reality to work. That would dictate how somebody approaches physical health as well. Because anything that you would believe mentally, you'd first experience mentally and understand from a mental standpoint, and then you would experience it physically as well. So if you were somebody who went around believing that there was nothing that could touch you, you could hear that there was plagues going out in the world, you hear of viruses, healthcare risks, and all these kind of things, but you strongly believed in your own mind state that you were immune to any of these things and you could not be impacted by any of these things, you would continue to express physical health merely because your state of consciousness is somewhere else compared to somebody who believes that they're susceptible to illness. Now, what's really interesting about this statement is that Neville Goddard's book was written back in the 1970s, but in 2006, the American Psychological Association published an article based around a specific study. The first part of that study, they were studying the relationship between stress and infection in medical students. They ran that study for about 10 years. What they found was, among other things, that students' immunity went down every year under the simple stress of the 3-day exam period. Test takers had fewer natural killer cells which fight tumors and viral infections. Merely because of the fact that they were under continued stress and under continued workload and under continued state of mind of pressure, anxiety, worry, that reduced their ability to fight off infections, to be able to survive outside influences, have enough cells in their body that were able to look after them. And this goes hand in hand with the idea that their mental state actually went on to inflict their own physical health. The study didn't end here though. The study that was carried out ended up causing a scientific storm, so people wanted to understand this more and more. Suzanne Segerstrom from the University of Kentucky and Gregory Miller of British Columbia University, they reviewed 300 different studies on the relationship between stress and health. And in 2004, they found that for stress of any significant duration, from a few days to a few months to a few years, as happens in real life, all aspects of immunity went downhill. Long-term or chronic stress through too much wear and tear can ravage the immune system. That is the conclusion that they came to. Long-term or chronic stress through too much wear and tear can ravage the immune system. So that means that in an environment where you stay in prolonged periods of stress, prolonged periods of fear, prolonged periods of anxiety, worry, you are at higher risk of reducing your own immunity. So what's happening in the world right now is there's obviously a virus that's going around and infecting lots of people in different nations. One of the things that I've noticed across the media is a lot of fear mongering, a lot of talk about it's killed this many people, it's harmed this many people, you must stay at home, you must wear a mask, you must wash your hands, you must do this, you must do that. And it's a lot of pressure on those that maybe are not as strong of mind to understand that the mind state that they're in will keep them healthier than having a lower mind state, a more fearsome, worried mind state. People who don't understand that principle, they're going to be sucked into that fear because it's what's being shoved down their throat. Now, what would happen as a result of that is, because they are constantly in a place of stress and in a place of worry, that now is going to mean that they're not able to fight off illness as best as they can. So if they're exposed to a virus, if they're exposed to that thing, they're at a higher risk than somebody who would have a stronger mind state and a stronger understanding that actually being positive, being happy and healthy in who you are, and relaxing would be able to help ease your mind state and subsequently help ease your physical state as well. It's very logical that when your mind is too focused on things that are stressful, it's going to be unable to carry out its daily function in the way that it should, simply because it has so many jobs to do to keep your body functioning. If stress is taking over, that's only taking away from the ability to be able to go and do a good job of what it is supposed to do. I think the most important thing for people to be doing is just reduce stress. And this isn't something that you should just do now that there's a virus out there that could be a threat to you. This is something you should be doing all the time throughout your life. Sometimes take a break. It's not always about your work, your career, your life. Sometimes consider reducing stress in one of the following ways. Exercise, running, weightlifting, swimming, martial arts, yoga, tai chi, whatever it might be. Do these kind of things and make them part of your daily workflow. Again, don't just do them when you start to get health issues, because by then it's too late. You want to have this as something that you commonly do. Reduces stress, makes you healthy, makes you more confident, makes you more happy. Practice diaphragmatic breathing. Now, most people don't actually know how to breathe correctly, and this is something that I only found out when I was younger and had to go to psychotherapy sessions when I was a kid, and there they would teach us how to breathe properly so that you wouldn't lose your temper or so that you wouldn't get anxious. You'd have to breathe a certain way, and it was known as belly breathing, or the scientific term diaphragmatic breathing. Now you can look that up somewhere to get a bit more of an understanding, but the idea is that you don't breathe shallow into your chest, which is what most people do. You're meant to be breathing deep into your belly. Feel it as if it's in your belly, because that is when you're breathing into your lungs and you're getting a full dose of oxygen into your lungs. Meditation is another practice, and that goes hand in hand with the breathing. You can practice your breathing while meditating and practice clearing your mind. The relaxation that you feel after the meditation is what's going to put you in a place that allows you to clear your mind of those worrying thoughts. So if you're worrying all day about getting ill or fear of whatever it might be, meditation is going to be able to take you out of that place. Positive affirmations, again, something that you can do to make your mind subconsciously on autopilot think good thoughts. Keep your mind circulating the idea of what it is that's important to you and what is valuable to you, and not always thinking about fear and worry and loss and lack. Think about abundance, happiness, joy, wealth. Think of those good things. Get those thoughts circulating in your brain automatically with affirmations or auto-suggestion. You can check out my video on that if you want to have a bit more understanding. Cut out negative influences. What I mean by this is, like I referred to earlier with the news, sometimes I'm watching that and just thinking, this is all negative. We're all coming at this from such a negative place, as if there's only negativity going on in the world, which is just not true. Even from this virus situation, there's been a lot of positives that have come from it. They're just not as often reported in the news unless you go and look for them. The same goes for all different circumstances. Good and bad are just different poles of the same thing. What you want to do is take any influences out that you believe are affecting you negatively and are affecting your own mental state and are making you feel weak, making you not feel strong. When you start to feel stronger and more confident about things, then perhaps you can start to reintroduce things that were negative influences before. But in a time of lots of fear and worry and doubt, it's best to just cut those all out altogether. And the final point is rest. Sleep, rest, relax, do whatever it is you need to do just to get your mind away from things, and don't always be caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. We know that we like to work hard. We know that everybody works hard. We know that everybody wants to be successful. We know that everybody wants to put their 110% into what it is that they do. But it's always important to take a rest. Even the most competitive of athletes knows that rest is one of the most important ways that they're going to be successful in the long run. The same thing goes for you as a human being. Now, that's all I've got on mental state and physical health. I hope that gives you a bit more confidence in knowing how to control your mental state to help improve your physical health. Of course, having a strong mind state is not the only thing that's going to make you physically strong. You need to have a good diet, you need to have a good routine, you need to have healthy habits. But simultaneously, I am not a doctor. So this is just me taking some information that I found about the relationship between the two and sharing it back with you. Your mental state and your physical health is something for you to look after, and really and truly should be your number one priority.